So, a guy in Ohio sold his truck last spring. It had a clean title, barely any rust, and it ran perfect. He needed the money, figured he'd just upgrade to something newer anyway. But 53 days later, he actually called the man who bought it and offered him $4,000 over what he paid. The man said no. A week later, he calls back and offers $6,000. The man still said no. That truck isn't going anywhere because the guy who bought it knew exactly what he had. And honestly, that's what nobody is talking about in 2026. While everyone's lining up at dealerships to finance these $80,000 trucks that, honestly, spend more time hooked up to a diagnostic computer than on a job site, a totally different conversation is happening in repair shops all over the country. Mechanics, the folks who actually live inside these machines, are pulling their own family members aside and saying the same thing: do not let that truck go. Not because of nostalgia, not because old is always better, but because they're watching what rolls through their bay doors every single week, and the contrast is getting impossible to ignore. Brand new trucks are showing up with turbos that need replacing before the first oil change. Sensors are triggering codes that nobody can even explain. You've got entire cab assemblies being lifted off frames just to get to components that used to take 20 minutes to reach. And right next to all of that, the old stuff comes in for a water pump, maybe a set of brakes, maybe a clutch, and rolls back out the same afternoon. These mechanics, they know something the commercials will never tell you. There's a short list, just 7 trucks, that have quietly become the most valuable used vehicles in America, not because of hype, but because of what they're made of, how they were engineered, and what it really costs to keep them on the road. Folks are tracking these down, paying premiums for high-mileage examples, even buying back trucks they never should have sold in the first place. Today, we're going through every single one of them. Stick around through number 1 because that truck is currently selling for $50,000 used, and there are buyers lined up just waiting for one to hit the market. Number 7, the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 GMT 800 platform, 1999 to 2006. If you ask any GM mechanic to point to the exact moment General Motors was at their absolute best, they don't even hesitate. They point right here. The Vortec 5.3-liter V8 under that hood was built before engineers got rewarded for chasing fuel economy numbers. No active fuel management, no cylinder deactivation shutting down half the engine and grinding up lifters. Just 8 cylinders firing every single time in every condition for hundreds of thousands of miles. Yeah, the instrument cluster stepper motors fail. Sure, the rocker panels will rust if you skip the undercoating. But the mechanical foundation of this truck is tank grade. The 4L60E transmission might eventually need a rebuild, but it's cheap, simple, and honestly, you can get it done in a weekend. Compare that to diagnosing a modern 10-speed with a laptop for 3 days at the dealer. Owners of clean GMT 800s are holding them tight right now. Trading one for a new truck is a financial step backward dressed up in a nice paint job. If you're still driving one of these, drop your mileage in the comments. Let's see how many of you have crossed 300,000. Number 6. The Ford Ranger from 1998 to 2011. This was the last honest compact truck Ford ever built. It was not trying to be a luxury sedan. It was not trying to win a feature comparison on a dealer lot. It was a tool and it was engineered to work like one. The 2.3-liter Duratec 4-cylinder is borderline unkillable. The 4.0-liter V6 gives you real towing grunt without drama. Parts are everywhere, labor is cheap, and you can actually reach over the bedrail without a stepladder. Something that sounds like a small detail until you are standing next to a 2026 F-150 and realize you need a running board just to see inside. When Ford shut this platform down in 2011, working people across this country lost the last simple body-on-frame compact that fit in a single car garage and cost less than a semester of college to maintain. These are rolling into shops today, with 300,000 miles needing suspension work, while the truck in the next bay has its entire cab lifted off for a turbo replacement at 60,000. If you think modern trucks have just gotten too big and too complicated, hit the like button right now. Let's see how many of us agree. Number 5, the Toyota Pickup, 1984 to 1995. Before it was called the Tacoma, it was just called the Pickup, and it did not need a name because the reputation was already doing the talking. This truck built Toyota's entire North American brand on its back. The torture test videos you have seen online, the ones where the truck gets submerged, rolled, set on fire and still starts, that is not clever editing. That is the 22RE engine being exactly what it always was. It is not fast. 0 to 60 takes about 3 business days, but that iron block and that timing chain design were over-engineered to a degree that simply does not exist in modern manufacturing. Thicker metal, boxed frame, zero electronics that can strand you on a dark road. You can fix almost anything on this truck with tools you already own. Finding a rust-free example right now feels like discovering a land deed in an old coat. Prices are going up fast because collectors and off-road builders both want the same truck, and there are only so many left. A 2026 Tacoma is a fine vehicle, but it will never absorb what a 1995 pickup absorbs without flinching. If you sold one of these and wish every day you hadn't, share this video. Maybe you can save someone else from making the same call. Number 4. The Nissan Frontier second generation, 2005 to 2019. While everyone argued about Tacomas, the smart buyers were quietly picking up Frontiers and saying nothing about it. Nissan built this exact same truck for nearly 15 years. Automotive journalists called it outdated. Mechanics called it brilliant because 15 years of the same platform means 15 years of finding every flaw and fixing it. After Nissan addressed the early radiator failure, nicknamed the strawberry milkshake of death. For reasons you do not want to experience firsthand, this truck became one of the most dependable vehicles you could put money into. The VQ 4.0-liter V6 is naturally aspirated. Real power. No turbocharger working under pressure. Alright, number 3. The Ford F-150 OBS from 1992 to 1996 with the 4.9-liter inline-6. Now, most people want to talk about V8s, but honestly, the folks who actually know engines talk about this one. Ford's 300 cubic inch, straight 6, is, hands down, the best engine they ever dropped between two frame rails. And here's the engineering reason why. There's no timing chain to stretch, and there's no timing belt to snap. The crankshaft drives the camshaft directly through gears. That is a system designed for heavy industrial equipment, and honestly, it was almost overqualified for a pickup truck. Peak torque hits at 2,000 RPM, so this engine is already pulling hard before most modern turbocharged engines have even spooled up. The 1992 to 1996 window is the sweet spot. Number 2, the Dodge Ram 2500 with the 5.9-liter Cummins Common Rail from 2003 to early 2007. This is where the list gets serious. This specific window of Cummins production represents something that, honestly, will never happen again. A modern high-pressure common rail diesel engine with real efficiency and real power before the emissions mandates rerouted everything in 2008. No diesel particulate filter slowly choking the exhaust flow. No diesel exhaust fluid system sending your truck into limp mode on a highway because a sensor read a temperature wrong. Just a diesel engine doing exactly what a diesel engine was designed to do. Now, mechanics will tell you the dashboard rattles, the front suspension wears, and the interior is not going to win any awards. But that Cummins engine will cross 1,000,000 miles on regular oil changes. When you build up the 48RE transmission to match it, you have a truck that will outtow brand new $80,000 diesels and burn less fuel doing it. The resale on pre-emissions Cummins trucks is climbing fast because buyers are doing the math. 3 weeks at a dealership for sensor codes on a new truck versus 0 drama on a 2005, the numbers are not even close. Is the 5.9 Cummins the greatest diesel engine ever built? Drop your answer in the comments. That conversation always gets interesting. Number 1, the Chevrolet Silverado 2500 HD LBZ Duramax, 2006 to early 2007. This is it. Not the most famous, not the most common, but the one that mechanics, collectors, and serious buyers all point to when they want to show you the ceiling of what diesel engineering ever achieved. The LBZ Duramax was the final version of this engine produced before the 2008 emissions regulations permanently changed the formula. From the factory, it made 360 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Behind it sat the Allison 1000 6-speed, one of the most trusted transmission pairings ever assembled in a production pickup. The pattern across all 7 of these is the same. Every single one was built when the goal was longevity, not subscription features, not lease cycles, not planned obsolescence wrapped in a warranty. In 2026, the used market is quietly beating the showroom. Buyers are getting smarter, mechanics are getting louder, and the people holding these 7 trucks are winning in a way that does not show up in a commercial. If you have the keys to any truck on this list right now, you are holding something they simply cannot recreate. Tell me in the comments, Are you still running one of these past 300,000? Or did you sell one and regret it every single time you drive past a dealership? I want to hear the real stories. If this list opened your eyes, hit that like button. Subscribe so you catch what we put out next, and take care of those old trucks because honestly, they are still taking